Hello everyone! Welcome to Beginner's Guide to Filecoin Chapter 10. In this video, I will give you a sense of what the commodity market and Blockspace are, so to help you better understand how gas runs in Filecoin. Here we go! Commodities are basic raw materials that serve as the basics for the production of every goods and services. The history of commodities is a reflection of civilization itself. Humans waged wars against each other to seek control over the most important resources, from rice to metals to spices to oil. As early as 4500 BC, dynasties of ancient Sumer used clay tokens and tablets to denominate dates for future deliveries of goods and rules for settlement in what was essentially a futures contract. Nearly 3,000 years later, one of Hammurabi's codes outlined payment rules for farmers that had mortgaged their properties. Farmers had to pay off their debt using the grain they produced, but reserved the right to not pay in the event of a crop failure. These basic rules helped the producers manage their risk and in turn allowed for more stable agriculture production. These financial arrangements would continue to evolve and standardize. One of the first formal commodity exchanges was the Dujima Rice Exchange in 1697. Instead of actual rice, merchants would trade rice tickets, claims to rice in their warehouses. Using rice tickets as a basics, the merchants developed many derivative contracts that are now commonly traded today, such as short sales, forwards, and opinions. Over a century later, the Chicago Board of Trade would be set up and grow to become the global leader in the grain and agriculture futures and opinion markets, where the volume of these financial contracts is much larger than the volume of the physical commodities. These developments showcased that financial abstractions in commodity markets let commodity producers and consumers better manage their risks, and therefore allow them to efficiently sell their operations. As commodity markets matured and become more sophisticated, so that the types of financial instruments available to help manage related risks. Today, they cover almost every commodity from sugar to coffee to gold and energy markets. And because commodity production is affected by a wide range of physical attributes, the stable consumption and production of commodities do not come naturally. Commodity production is always accompanied by robust commodity markets. Without these markets, the flow of commodities is prone to volatility. As more aspects of daily activities transition to digital, the value of related resources like data and computing had skyrocketed, while the underlying technology of the digital era is still relatively nascent. Thanks to Moore's law and the abstract nature of software development, its rate of acceleration is nothing short of astounding. For these reasons, phrases like "data is the new oil" have become relatively common. As Dijkstra commented in 1972, said, "I do not know of any other technology covering a ratio of 10 to the power of 10 or more. The computer, by virtue of its fantastic speed, seems to be the first to provide us with an environment where hierarchical artifacts are both possible and necessary." At this point, it cases to be useful to think of digital universe as physical phenomenon. Software is instead what Abelson and Sessman called procedural epistemology. It has become an infinite medium for human expression. This naturally makes people wonder, where does this path ultimately lead us to? Many works of science fiction have depicted various versions of the metaverse, but all seems to settle on the baseline. A parallel digital reality to material reality, replete with its own words, economics, and digital assets. Matthew Ball describes it more specifically as a massively scaled and interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds, which can be experienced synchronously and persistently by an efficiently unlimited number of users with an individual sense of presence and with continually of data, such as identity, history, entitlements, objects, communications, and payments. Ball Future mentions that crypto works will span and drive several categories critical to realization of the metaverse, mainly compute, interoperability tools, and standards and payments. In reality, it's tenable that given enough time and technological advancements, distributed networks backed by crypto-economic schemes will govern everything, like how metaverse data is sorted, rendered, and accessed. It will also likely guide the development of metaversal social structures. Already, we have seen how DeFi and crypto games have driven users to prefer user-owned protocols and sharing of concrete economic incentives for usage rather than rent extraction. As the paradigm shifts toward users owning a stake in the platforms they use, it becomes less and less tenable that they are willing to code control of their digital selves to a few centralized authorities such as Facebook and Microsoft, and this is already happening. The metaverse is likely and inevitably rather than possibility, and will accordingly rely on crypto networks to realize not only mass adoption but sustainable and user-aligned growth. Accordingly, Blockspace will become the central commodity of metaverse. We built massive markets at a global scale to ensure we have stable food and energy production to sustain the growth of our societies. So, what kind of market will emerge from Blockspace, the foundational commodity of the metaverse? Fundamentally, Blockspace is the representative unit of a shared layer of computation and state across multiple users. The blockchain exists as a record of changes and additions to this state, and crypto networks serve as markets for production and uses of blockchain. Users issuing transactions that fees attached signal their demand. While this sounds simple enough, the Blockspace market dynamic is quite complex. Block space, also known as block size or block weight, refers to the limited amount of data that can be stored on blockchain in each block. In networks such as Ethereum and Bitcoin, blocks are the units of data that records transactions and are added to the blockchain on a regular basis. Each block has a fixed size or capacity. This determines the maximum amount of data that can be stored in it and thus the number of transactions included in the block. This capacity is the key factor in the performance and scalability of the blockchain network, as it affects the number of transactions that can be processed in a given time period. With every block's data being stored on each validator's system, Blockspace can directly impact the overall size of the blockchain. Every network has different economic considerations. The dynamic interplay between the demand for block space and quantity of block space available determines the price of transaction fees. In Ethereum, block space is limited by the gas limit, which is the maximum amount of computational work measured in gas. that can be included in the block. Gas is the hypernym that abstracts the true under-the-hood workings of Ethereum and other blockchains when performing computation. On the other hand, for Bitcoin, Blockspace is limited by block size, which is maximum number of bytes of data that can be stored in the block. Bitcoin's Blockspace capacity is 1 megabyte, enabling each block to, on average, store 2,000 transactions worth of data. Filecoin's consensus mechanism is built on a variation of this called tipset. Blocks in Filecoin are ordered by epoch. Each new block refers back to at least one block produced in the prior epoch. A tipset is made up of valid blocks that have the same parents and were made in the same epoch. Filecoin is a peer-to-peer network that stores files, with built-in economic incentives to ensure files are stored reliably over time. Filecoin is making the web more secure and efficient with decentralized data storage marketplace and cryptocurrency. It is blockchain-based decentralized digital storage and data retrieval method, allowing users to rent unused hard drive space reliably and with confidence. Gas refers to the fee or pricing value required to successfully conduct a transaction on Filecoin blockchain. Often priced in smallest and common fractions of cryptocurrency, autofill. The gas is used to allocate resources of the Filecoin network so that transactions can occur. The supply and demand between the network's miners determine the exact price of the gas. Miners can decline to process a transaction if the gas price does not meet their threshold for users on the network who seek processing power. The concept of gas was introduced to maintain the distinct value layer that solidly indicates the consumption toward computational expresses on Filecoin network. A separate union for this purpose enables a practical distinction between the actual valuation of the cryptocurrency and the computational cost of using the Filecoin network. Filecoin miners who perform all the important tasks of verifying and processing transactions on the network are awarded a particular fee in return for computational services. If the gas price limit is too low, miners can choose to ignore such transactions. As such, the price of the gas fluctuates with supply and demand for processing power. In conclusion, the impact of Blockspace on transaction costs is the significant factor in the dynamics of blockchain technology. When the demand for Blockspace exceeds the available supply, transaction fees rise significantly. This is because the market for Blockspace is driven by supply and demand, with users willing to pay higher fees to have their transactions included in the next block. Alright, please thumbs up if you find this video helpful. More videos that you might be interested in are coming soon, so please subscribe to King Labs' channel in case you miss out. See you in the next video. Bye!